The candidate reached out into the darkness and gave 3 distinct knocks on the door in front of him. He could sense that the landing was darkened, even through the bandage wrapped around his eyes, but he could tell little else. The raucous noises of the tavern's public room drifted up the steps behind him, and the smell of roasting mutton, tobacco, and hickory smoke from the cook fire permeated the air. He knew the knot of anticipation that tightened in his chest before a session with his fencing master. The same sort of anxious grip had hold of him now, even though he tried to convince himself that this was a silly way to spend the evening. And frankly, he felt a bit silly as he reflected on the events of the last hour. His friend had told him nothing of what was going to happen. The candidate had been told to dress as though he were going to church, and he'd done so with some care. He had worn his finest woolen coat, waistcoat and matching breeches, white shirt and stock. When he arrived at Julian's tavern, his friend had met him, then ushered him off to a small, darkened storeroom, and closed and locked the door, leaving him in silence. After what had seemed like a small eternity, the door had opened abruptly, revealing 2 other men, known to him only slightly, who introduced themselves as the stewards of the lodge. The senior of the 2 solemnly asked if he had the vocation necessary to proceed, to which he had nervously replied, yes. Then his friend had stepped forward and asked him, in a stiff and formal manner that the candidate had never heard him use before, "Do you seriously declare, upon your honor, before these gentlemen, that, unbiased by friends against your own inclination, and uninfluenced by mercenary motives, you freely offer yourself a candidate for the mysteries of Masonry?" "I do," he responded. "Do you seriously declare, upon your honor, before these gentlemen, that you are solely prompted to solicit the privileges of Masonry by a favorable opinion conceived of the institution, a desire of knowledge, and a sincere wish of being serviceable to your fellow creatures?" He did have a favorable opinion of the society, and while he had heard of the new lodge being formed that year with several of the most important gentlemen in the county as its charter members, he hadn't sought membership just to hobnob with a few respected businessmen and planters. Clearly, Freemasonry meant something important to them, something more than just gathering to eat, drink, and trade gossip. These were men he admired, for their accomplishments, but also for their intelligence and felicity of expression. His personal situation had changed dramatically in the last few months, and he felt decidedly underqualified for the new positions, both public and private, he would have to face now. To be brutally honest with himself, he wasn't sure he was up to the task. So perhaps the men in this lodge would provide the inspiration and the wisdom he felt he lacked. "I do," he answered.